So what Satish was asking, like the build server, okay, whatever the build server we are creating, if it crashes, right, what will happen, right? So what I just told you, right? See, every project, right? Where to run, who will decide? Jenkins, right? The master or the controller. Jenkins is, we can say, the controller, right? The controller or the master machine. So the Jenkins server or the master machine will decide where the build to run. Suppose we have two agents. Okay, we have two agents there, right? Suppose agent 1, agent 2. Okay, now if we have created a project to run on agent 1, and this agent we can make it as our build server, and make it as our build server. So what is this build server? Where the actual build happens, where the actual build happens. So what are the applications you can go, you can send for the build? The applications built in Java, .NET, okay, Python, etc. There are lots of applications which is required to build in the Java. Suppose you are building Java applications, okay, and this machine. So all the required Java binaries should be installed here, right? JDK, JRE, everything should be installed in this build server. Then our Java application can build, right? So every time you trigger the project or build, what it does, it creates one workspace. It creates workspace on the respective build server. Suppose you are building a job inside the Jenkins, then the workspace will be created here inside the Jenkins server in the master itself. And if you are building the job in the build server, then workspace will be created on the build server. Okay, suppose here on this application, suppose we have .NET applications, right? So what will happen? All the .NET frameworks, .NET core should be installed in this machine, right? And you can figure the .NET applications here, right? So what will happen here? So the question what Satish asked was, if this server is crashed due to some problem, right? And all your things are gone, what will happen? So first thing we need to understand why we need this build server, right? Once this server is terminated, crashed or stopped, what will happen? The agent will be offline. That means you cannot send any further jobs to the build server until unless it is online again, right? So the workspace and everything suppose gets deleted. So what will happen? You don't have to worry about that, right? Because most of the time we delete the workspace before we start the new project, because the project, whenever it gets triggered by Jenkins, the job, it creates a new workspace. Then why we need this workspace? First you need to understand, right? Why we need this workspace? Every time when Jenkins triggers a build, it creates a workspace. Under this workspace, it keeps all the required informations downloaded from the GitHub, right? Remote repository, from the repository. So the source code, everything will be kept here in the workspace. Based on that, and the actual build will be triggered from the workspace itself. So in this case, here the build will happen, right? So once the build is done, we don't keep the binary file here, right? So what do? We send the binary file to the artifactory, right? To one artifactory. So we send the binary file to the artifactory. So when we send this binary file to the artifactory, our binary file, the build result, right? What is this one? The build result. That artifact will be stored here. Now, if it goes down also, it's crashed, nothing is there. No worries, because our product will be available in this artifactory. And from this artifactory, we can transfer to the testing environment or any staging environment, whatever you use, right? And what about the code? The source code will be available there in GitHub already. In GitHub, the source code already there, so we don't have to worry about that at all. Code is there, the binary product, whatever is generated is there. Even though it is down, we can, once it is online, we can run it again. This is simplest server to be build purpose only. Nothing else will be done here. Okay, got it? So this, and this is how the entire flow. Okay, now let's try to understand more. Okay, so we have covered this multi pipeline also, we have covered, right? Multi-branch pipelines and all. So today I'll show you some, I'll just explain you something like regarding how we'll, so we have already seen about the post build action, right? So what is the post build action? The post build action, why we need this post build action? After build is done, what you need, right? Next, what action you have to take after the build is done? What next action you need to take? Then you have to add into the post build sections. You have to add into the post build section, right? So in the post build sections, either you can keep the email functionality, right, to send email to the respective team or to the management, or you can see, we can keep for archiving or generating some other reports and anything, so you can do that, right? So in the post section, right, so we have a build section, and under that we will have a post sections also. So in the post sections, what we keep, we have options like, if it is get success, what you have to do, on failure, what you have to do, right? Similarly, there are three more: unstable, unstable, unsuccess, and always. What needs to be done on the post sections, right? So you have to just use this one based on your requirement, right? Based on your requirement, you have to send all these things, right? Now, today, let me show you some informations more on the jobs. So I have uh, created some. Okay, so now in our previous project, whatever previous applications we did, right? What it was there. So the syntax, first things you have to remember the syntax, how to write it, right? Pipeline, we have written the pipeline syntax, right? So, and with this, and what we need then, we have to write agent. We had written agent any, means any available agent the build will run, right? On any available agent the build will run. But if you want to send to a specific build server, then how you have to do? So instead of this, you can just use like this agent. You have to give the label. Suppose I'll give the A1 server label A1. Suppose I give a label A1 is the build server agent name. Okay, suppose I'll give A1 agent. That means whatever the pipeline we have written, that will be executed on this particular agent, particular machine, right? So we have to pass like this. Okay, and suppose we have on these stages, we have suppose multiple stages are there. Suppose we have multiple stages are there. Okay, so in these multiple stages, suppose let me little increase this one. Suppose in these stages we have suppose one stage, another stage. Suppose we have three stages there, or two stages, and I want this particular stage. Okay, okay, sorry guys. Okay, so what will happen here in this scenario, right? In this scenario, what will happen here in this pipeline? We have written the job to run on this particular agent, right? The job to run on this particular agent. So what will happen? All these stages, whatever the stages we have written, right? All these stages, what will happen? Will run on this particular agent, right? But I want this stage one, okay? This stage one, this is suppose stage two. This stage one, I want to run on a different agent. So how we have to write? We have to give one agent here, inside it, agent, and you have to provide the label here. Label give suppose ABC agent, right? ABC agent. Whatever the agent name, you have to specify. During the agent creations, you would have given a label, right? That label you have to specify it. That means on this, when we trigger, right, this particular agent, the project will run in this particular agent, and once it comes to the stages, this particular stage will be sent to the agent, whatever sent inside the agent in the stage, and this stage 2 will run here in this agent. Okay, now you understood how to manage the labels. Okay, now let me show you the script. Whatever I have written, same thing I'm going to show you in a script. Agent label, see here simple agents we have given, right? Here agent any I have given, right? Means any available agent it will run, and here I have given on the stage to build on the Linux agent. Suppose agent name I have given Linux, so it is going to build on this Linux agent. And after this, I have written a post section, post build section. One needs to be done. What it is doing? It is using the mail functionality to mail the applications, right? To mail the details to the prospective user, right? So that is how you have to use it. Okay. Now, other one I'm going to show you about the credentials. Okay. So these credentials I have used under a section here. So let me just explain these things. Okay. Okay. So we got this pipeline here, right? And it's very big. Let me little. Okay. This is not a good idea, but let's do something. Why it's very big? Okay, became small now. So what you can do here, the stages, whatever we have written it here, right? Okay, good. Now you can see the stages, different stages we have, right? Different stages. So in these stages, what happens? We have this agent any, right? We have agent any means any available agent. Even this pipeline can run on the master machine also. Can run on the master machine also. Master can run this build also because we have given any. Also, that can be sent to any available agent. Also, can send to any available agent. Okay. So what happens here? Runs an agent. Now we have added the credentials. I'm talking about the credentials, right? And you know where to set up the credentials. We already have discussed on that, right? So the credentials, when we do set up in Jenkins, right? So we used to give a credential ID. So we can go to the manage Jenkins. Okay, we can go to the manage Jenkins here, and what we can do here in the credentials, if we go here, we can see different credentials available, right? These are the credential ID. Here, suppose Merlin Blue Tech, here SMTP Jenkins, demo user B11. So we have this one. So what we need, we have to provide this ID where in the credential method, whatever functions or methods we are using function. This is a credential function, right? Function, or we can say the API. This API is going to be called. So in the credentials, we have to provide the credential ID. This is your credential ID. So here I've given test. So in our case, we have to give, suppose, demo user B11. This is what we had given, right? So same, we have to give it here. That means the credentials will work for. Okay. So why we need credentials? To connect to one of the server, right? In our case, suppose we used to connect to the GitHub. Similarly, for Tomcat server, we used to provide the credential. For Nexus, we have to provide the credentials. All these things we have to use. Okay. Now, for the Nexus delivery, right? I'll share with you one video which I had prepared. So you go through that video for the Nexus. Okay. Do the practice for yourself. If you have any doubt or anything, just we'll discuss in the class. Okay. I'll upload that video in the group also. Okay. Now, so if we do this, call this secret. So what happened here? This credential will fetch the our credential, whatever we have set up in our Jenkins, right? And then it store in one environment variable that's called secret. And then this secret, we are just using a sh command, we are printing it. Then it will print the value whatever is stored here. Okay. Now we are talking about so just before Sandeep you come, Satish was talking about the different projects to run on different scripting. So he was asking whether we can have the Python also installed in the Jenkins server because we have already Java installed. Yes, both Java and Python can be there, should be there. It's not a problem. Okay, it can be, you install it, anything. Now, so whenever you are executing, right, a build or writing the pipeline script, right? So what do you do on any stage, right? Under a stage, what we do under a stage, we keep one steps here. We keep steps. Under these steps, we write the program, right? Suppose your build server is a Linux server. Your build server is a Linux server. So what you have to do? You have to run the command, right, in the Linux environment. So Linux means you have to either bash or ksh, right? So for that, you have to use shell prompt, right? And under this shell prompt, you have to execute the command. Suppose you are running a Python program, okay? So you can write Python is the command for the Python to execute -m or some options, whatever's there, and the program name, the application name, right? Suppose I'll give the program dot py. What will happen? This will execute the -m program.py. So this will execute. What happened? As we have on sh, so this will execute this on this Linux machine. On this Linux machine. Suppose you have another stage or you have another program which you want to run in one Windows machine, right? So what you have to do? That do inside the stage again. We'll have the steps, right? So you have to use bat. So inside this bat, you can write Python -m program.py, the Python file name. So this will execute on Windows machine. This will execute on Windows. This will execute on Windows machine.
Hello.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Similarly, you can write the PowerShell also here. If you want to execute anything on PowerShell, you can write the PowerShell commands here also. Yeah. Any doubt? Anything you are asking?
Sir, here require mention in agent name also, na? Because which agent we have installed. Require the agent name also mention here.
Okay, sorry, I did not get you. Can you just bit louder? With the agent name?
Required to mention the agent name. Here which agent we have installed in that mention na on the pipeline area, top area,
Okay.
right na? And I'm asking, he required to mention the agent name. After that, I have mentioned the sh command and back command. Which agent we want to install?
No. You don't have to. You don't have to. See, that is why. See, based on if you want this step to run on Windows, then you can mention. See, I'm giving an example here. This is, don't think that both the stages are in one stage. I'm just giving you an example. For this stage, if it is a Linux agent, then you have to run this one. If it is Windows agent, then you have to run this way the program. And obviously, if you are running this stage on Windows machine, and you have to specify a Windows agent here, okay? You have to specify the Windows agent here. I'm just giving you an example that how you have to execute. Okay, suppose you have, see, definitely whenever you are running, you will not have to both different machines for one project, right? Definitely it will be only one machine. And suppose if you have different projects, sometimes what will happen, you want to do some small task. Small task can be done by the Jenkins built-in server itself, right? So what you can do, we can add one agent. We can give label, okay, built-in, built-in. So that means this built-in is the master server, and the main program will run in this master program, master machine, right? And if you want to, one stage we want to send it to, suppose into a different agent, then inside the stage you can just mention the label on which agent you want to. Suppose Linux agent means you have to give the Linux agent name, and if it is Windows agent, then you have to give Windows agent name, right? Whatever agent name you have given, you can mention it here, right? So similarly, you have to specify every stages. Like I just showed you the program, right? Whatever the program, suppose I showed you here, agent level. Suppose this stage is building on the Linux agent. Suppose I want to build this stage on Windows agent. Okay, build. Suppose build Linux something, build on Linux stage build on Linux, and this stage I'll suppose give build on Windows. Something I just this is a give, just this is a name. Don't get confused again. Okay. And here you can give the Linux agent, or I can give the Windows agent. Windows agent. Okay. So what will happen? This particular building will happen on the Windows machine, and this particular building will happen on the Linux agent. Okay. So what you can do, you can just mention different machines. So what will happen here? In this case, this agent any, whatever we have given here, means any available agent, this entire project will run. Again, don't actually give this any. Okay. If you give any means any available agent, means any available. Suppose your project is built to run on .NET application. So you have a Windows agent, right? And if you have given any, master will directly, if you don't have specified the project to run on Windows machine, then what available, any available agent, it will just dispatch it, right? Any available agent, it will dispatch, means it will dispatch to Windows machine, send to Windows machine. Then the build will fail because it's not meant to run on the Windows machine. Okay? So always better, whenever you're doing, specify the labels. Okay, here we'll suppose I want this particular first to trigger the label, give match built-in build built-in. So what will happen? This built-in, this is the ID, agent ID or agent name, right? This will run. Similarly, credentials, I also explained you. Environment, we already have seen in our last classes. Multiple steps, we can execute multiple commands in one steps. Sh double commands, you can write any sh commands, everything we can just write it there. Okay, so post action, we already have discussed about this, right? And retry options, I'll just tell you, this particular timeout. Okay, timeout to retry means if there is if you're trying to connect to a server, okay, trying to connect to a server, if it fails first, so what will happen? If you just write this retry option, so what will happen? It will try 3 times. It will try 3 times. Okay, then it will complete. Then similarly, this upload S3, once Ansible is over, we'll just see this one. Okay, timeout. Similarly, okay, timeout and retry the same thing, but we have to, no, not same thing. Again, we have to add the timeout method here, timeout option here. Okay, timeout means it will retry 3 times. If the time is over, so the unit is seconds, right? After 3 seconds, it will 3 seconds, it will go to sleep, or it will go to the command, whatever you have written, it will just time out. It will suppose sleep for 5 seconds. We have given 3. So if it runs more than 5 seconds, right, more than 3, then it will time out. Then it will terminate it. It will terminate it. Okay. Now, these seconds, what you can do, you can also put, there are various options are there, like seconds. This is one comment, okay, in pipeline. If you do double slash is a comment, okay, you can just put seconds, minutes, right, hours. Suppose you want to wait for 2 hours. After then it will time out. Suppose what happened? Normally, you don't want a large build to run for more time, right? For many hours. So what you can do? You can set up a timeout option so that after 2 hours of build, you want to terminate it, because there could be some problem. That's why the build is taking more time. So what you can do, you can just, after this particular hour, you have to time it out, right? Or else after few minutes, suppose 50 minutes, the job should be terminated. Then you can just give 50 here, and you have to write unit minutes, 50 minutes, after 50 minutes. Suppose after hours, after 5 hours, you want to terminate it, then you can just write after 5 hours. Okay. So this is how you have to use it. Okay. So let the seconds be there. Sorry. Let the seconds be there, and this is whatever is there. Okay. So these are the things available. So that's all, guys, for today's class. And tomorrow we'll do whatever just we saw it. Tomorrow we'll do this in a last project. We'll do it with the SAD library concept, the advanced concept, and definitely in interviews they'll ask these questions. And guys, see, already we have covered many classes on the Jenkins, and if you have still something, see, there are still lots of things are pending. Once we finish Docker, we'll integrate Docker. Once we finish Ansible, we'll integrate Ansible, and we'll integrate S3 also. I'll show you one project how we integrate S3 and all these things. So Nexus, everything I will do it one after another. But we'll in our next class we'll cover the advanced concept of the Jenkins SAD library. So once this is over, we are done with Jenkins, and the rest of the project one after another. After we move on, we'll do that one. Okay. Okay, guys. That's all for today's class.